Welcome back. Today on the Byte-Size Brief, we're going deep on NVIDIA. Now, this is a company that's at the absolute heart of the AI revolution, but its path forward is anything but certain. It's really shaping up to be a high-stakes battle between its own, frankly, relentless innovation and some incredibly powerful forces that are starting to push back.
All right, so here's how we're going to break this down. First, we'll look at how NVIDIA completely reframed the entire industry with one big idea. Then, we'll dig into the sources of its dominance, its so-called unbreakable moat. After that, we'll cover the giants fighting back, and yeah, that includes its own customers. We'll also touch on the geopolitical pressures it's facing, and finally, what you need to watch for on the horizon. Okay, first things first. To really get what's happening with NVIDIA today, you have to start with this fundamental shift in thinking. It's a whole new paradigm that comes straight from their CEO, Jensen Huang, and honestly, it changes the entire game.
And here it is. This quote is everything. Look, this isn't just some clever marketing slogan. It's a strategic repositioning of the entire company. NVIDIA is basically saying, hey, we don't just sell computer parts anymore. We sell you the entire factory. And what do these factories produce? Not cars, not phones, they produce tokens. Just think of tokens as the basic building blocks of AI. A word in a sentence, a pixel in an image. That's the new product of this industrial revolution. So, is this AI factory idea working? Well, how does $215.9 billion sound? That's the projected record revenue for their fiscal year 2026. I mean, that kind of growth is just staggering, and it's driven almost entirely by this ravenous, just insatiable demand to build more and more of these new AI factories. So that begs the question, right? How on earth did NVIDIA get into such a powerful position? It's not just that they make one fast chip. Nope, it's way, way deeper than that. They've built this fortress, this deeply integrated ecosystem that competitors are finding almost impossible to replicate. You can really think of their strength as resting on three core pillars, kind of like a three-legged stool. First, you've got the hardware, the best-in-class chips like Blackwell and the upcoming Vera Rubin. Second, you have the networking fabric. This is the high-speed glue, the proprietary interconnects that link thousands of those chips together. And then the third leg, and this one is absolutely crucial, is the software. And that software is called CUDA. Honestly, this is NVIDIA's secret weapon. It has a 20-year head start on everyone else, and it's created this incredibly deep software moat. It's become the default language for AI. Millions of developers know it, and countless AI applications are built on it. So if you're a customer, switching to a competitor isn't just swapping out a piece of hardware. It's a massive headache. The switching costs are just enormous. And they don't let up for a second. They reinforce this whole fortress with a brutal, relentless product cycle. Every couple of years, bam, a new architecture drops. Hopper, then Blackwell, now Vera Rubin is on the way. Each new generation is so much more efficient at generating tokens that it actually becomes cheaper for customers to buy the brand new super expensive chips than to keep running the old ones. It's an economic compulsion that just locks them in even deeper. But there's a huge problem brewing. All this dominance comes at a very, very high price. And NVIDIA's biggest customers, the massive cloud providers, are getting tired of writing those giant checks. So now they're building a powerful counteroffensive. And this right here represents NVIDIA's single biggest threat. I mean, just think about this for a second. What would you do if the people who buy the most stuff from you were also your biggest competitors? That's the wild situation NVIDIA finds itself in. The hyperscalers, Amazon, Google, Microsoft, are their largest source of revenue, but they are all pouring billions of dollars into designing their own custom chips specifically to reduce their dependence on NVIDIA. It's an incredibly rare and dangerous dynamic when the folks paying your bills are actively trying to make your business obsolete. And this table right here illustrates that threat perfectly. Now, NVIDIA's Vera Rubin chip is an absolute monster, no doubt about it. But look closely at the primary workload column. The competitors aren't trying to beat NVIDIA at everything. They're strategically targeting inference. That's the day-to-day work of running an AI model after it's been trained. By creating their own custom chips for that specific job, they can optimize for their own cloud services and dramatically cut their own costs. And the financial incentive for them to do this is just undeniable. Right now, NVIDIA has a stranglehold on the market, controlling over 90%. But as these custom chips get deployed at scale, some analysts project that NVIDIA's share of that critical inference market could absolutely plummet, falling to as low as 20 or 30% by 2028. That is a huge piece of the pie to potentially lose. So, as if fighting off your own customers wasn't a big enough challenge, NVIDIA is also fighting a war on a completely different front, a second front. And this one is all about geopolitics, specifically the growing tech rivalry between the United States and China.
It really boils down to this. The US government has put strict export controls in place to block China from getting its hands on the most advanced AI technology. For NVIDIA, this has effectively created a revenue ceiling, slamming the brakes on what used to be a major, fast-growing market for them.
And the consequences here are a real double whammy. First, there's the immediate financial hit. NVIDIA's losing sales to the point where they've even stopped forecasting revenue from China's data center market. But perhaps even more importantly in the long run, these restrictions are forcing China to accelerate the development of its own domestic alternatives. And a state-backed competitor, Huawei, is quickly emerging to fill that void. So the rules aren't just costing sales today, they're actively creating a powerful new competitor for tomorrow. So let's put it all together and look ahead. NVIDIA's future is really shaping up to be this epic race. On one side, you have their incredible, breakneck pace of innovation. And on the other, you have these two formidable forces pushing back, their own customers and global politics. So what's NVIDIA's counteroffensive? It's called Vera Rubin. And you've got to understand, this isn't just another faster GPU. It's a complete system, a whole new platform. The entire goal here is to reset the performance per dollar equation all over again. By aiming for a massive 10 times reduction in the cost to generate an AI token, their strategy is to make upgrading simply irresistible, ensuring their platform remains the absolute most efficient way to run an AI factory. So what should you be watching? Keep your eyes on these key events. The company's next earnings release in May will tell us if their incredible growth momentum is continuing. Then, later this year, the first deployments of Vera Rubin will be the real-world test of its competitive advantage. And finally, watch their progress towards that staggering long-term goal of $1 trillion in AI-related revenue. That will signal who's really winning this high-stakes race. And this leaves us with one final provocative thought. NVIDIA's technological lead remains clear, and its innovation is breathtaking. But the race is no longer just against other chip makers. It's a race against the immense economic and strategic goals of its own biggest clients, and that race has only just begun. That wraps up today's deep dive on NVIDIA. For a sharper, more candid discussion, join us on the full audio podcast. Drop your questions and takes in the comments. We read every one.